What's up guys, Layden here, and today I'm coming at you with a video on my Prot Paladin. This is going to be my 9.0.2 Prot overview slash PvP guide. So let's get right into it. Let's do the talents first. So in terms of Prot talents, there are a few options where we will end up switching around. The first road, the tier 15, if you're against mostly spell cleaves, you will be running Holy Shield. In 2v2 arena, Blessed Hammer, so you can run away and kite around pillars while spamming Holy Power generators into Word of Glories. It's really situationally decent for kiting. The next row, Crusader's Judgment. For sure, this is a talent that you will never change out of as Prot in PvP, Judgment being your largest damage source and also your best Holy Power generator. Definitely Crusader's Judgment every time. The tier 30, it's either Fist of Justice or Blinding Light in my experience. I take Blinding Light against Rogue Mage 2s, so I can just Trinket Blind their opener, something like that. And since Blind does not break on holy damage, you can go ahead and just Judgment or Blessed Hammer, generate some holy power without fear of breaking the blind. After that, we have our 35 row, which, again, another situational row. So the reason I have been taking Cavalier more than Spell Warding as of late is because of Steed of Glory. Steed of Glory is actually immuning crowd control right now for some reason, but not actually immuning movement pairing effects. Now, this is likely a bug, but if you pre-steed an opener on a rogue or a charged Stormbolt by a warrior or a fear by a lock, something like that, you're just good to go, and you get 2 Cavalier charges, and I'll get into why this is even better a little bit later with the conduits. But you know, if you're against Boomkin, definitely recommend Blessing of Spell Warding to have an additional defensive against Convoke the Spirits, because Convoke the Spirits is absolutely bonkers right now. The level 40 row, very situational. In 3s, Seraphim provides the biggest additional damage, but Holy Avenger adds an additional defensive cooldown to you. It gives you guaranteed Word of Glories, guaranteed Shield of the Righteous, even though Shield of the Righteous doesn't hit too hard anymore. And then Divine Purpose is also viable in case you like to rely on a little bit of RNG, but probably get some more healing. Prot does spend more holy power than something like Ret, just because you have access to Blessed Hammer, Double Judgment, etc., and you can generate holy power while outside of melee range. The next row, tier 45, Hand of the Protector. Every time in arena, for sure, it gives you that 250% bonus healing on low health targets with Word of Glory. On teammates, definitely really good. And then the last row, Sanctified Wrath. Every time, wings last 25% longer. In Judgment, it generates an additional holy power during wings. That is this right there. All right, let's get to the PvP talents. Alright, so in terms of PvP talents, what I will typically run almost all the time is Guardian of Forgotten Queen in Arena, Steed of Glory, and Shield of Virtue. Now, the two pretty much mandatory ones are Guardian of Queen and Shield of Virtue, unless you're going against something like Windwalker Arms Warrior, in which case in 2s you probably wouldn't need Shield of Virtue. But Queen provides you that 10-second immunity that forces the enemy team to have to use CC or kill it. Steed of Glory gives you the crowd control immunity while you're on your steed. Cavalier gives you 2 charges of it. And Shield of Virtue gives you that nice 4-second silence on your Avenger shield. Now, there are some situations that I would change out. For instance, if I was flag carrying, I might take something like Hallowed Ground and Unbound Freedom instead for the most mobility to get away. And you will just have Guardian of Ancient Kings damage reduction while flag carrying, because the enemy team is more likely to CC Guardian and not let you get away. But yeah, in Arena, something like this setup is really good if you are thinking that you're likely going to be taking Spell Warding instead of Steed of Glory. It's probably okay to go Judgment of the Pure. This provides decent healing, especially since you have 2 charges of Judgment and it's such a low cooldown, only 5.4 seconds with my haste level, and I have a pretty low haste level. But yeah, more or less, this is your Prot setup. All right, let's go over the Covenant and Soulbind system next. So for the Soulbinds, I am currently running Clea on my Prot Paladin, and I am rocking a Punish the Guilty and Lights Barding. And I think of all the conduits for Prot, Lights Barding is probably the best one because it provides additional time on Steed of Glory. And since you have Cavalier, you can just Steed of Glory, be immune to CC forever. So we have one Steed right here, and then another Steed right here. And since I don't have War Mode on, this technically would have lasted 4 seconds longer because you gain two additional seconds on your Steed of Glory with this talent right here in War Mode / Arena or Battlegrounds. But yeah, the potency conduits, the Shield of the Righteous, yes, it did get nerfed, but there's not too many other potency conduits that I would take as Prot. Vengeful Shock seems pretty weak in my opinion. If you don't have a Punish the Guilty, Shielding Words is just perfectly fine. I don't run it too often myself because Word of Glory is typically enough baseline as Prot. I feel like I don't need the additional healing. I'm always topping someone off in a Word of Glory, so I just opted for the additional damage. All right. However, if you are maining Prot, Pelagos is probably the move because the mastery buff for Prot is still just as good as it is for Ret. Mastery is one of Prot's best stats. It provides you the increased block, so your holy shields are going to go up, your attack power is going to go up, your consecration damage reduction is going to go up. But again, it doesn't last too long. This is going to be lasting 15 seconds in PvP rather than 10 seconds, but it's also going to do half the amount of mastery. So if I was not a Ret main, I would likely go Night Fae because I believe Blessing of Seasons is probably BIS for Prot. And the reasoning is almost every single blessing is more beneficial to a Prot than it would be to a Ret. For instance, Prot has 0 slow, so it could take advantage of winter. Blessing of Seasons is probably better to... Blessing of Summer on the Blessing of Seasons is probably better to put on a DPS teammate. Your cooldowns, you have access to better cooldowns such as Blessing of Spell Warding and Guardian of the Ancient Queen. So Autumn would benefit you even more. In Spring, the increased healing on the Night Fae ability, even better on Prot, because you're doing even more World of Glories. Lots of evens in there, because, you know, we have to emphasize how good Prot is right now. In addition to that, you can get the double potency conduits earlier in the Night Fae campaign. Yeah, I think Night Fae gets double potency this week, which is absolutely ridiculous, because we, as Kieran, have to wait till Renown 21, and we're Renown 12 right now. Feels bad, man. So, Night Fae, if you're Prot main, go for it. If not, Kieran is perfectly fine. Divine Toll is not that bad. It is pretty fun to use Divine Toll in BGs, see all those shields flying out. All right, let's go over the Prot legendary powers real quick. So Prot has a decent number of legendaries that you could run and be viable with. Uther's Devotion would give you more access to Bob / spell warding. Mad Paragon, more damage, longer wings. Zephus, less CC, again, more damage. You can proc it off of your Hodge, your Kick. And then lastly, Bulwark of the Righteous Fury. So this you could stack up with your Judgment, with your Punish the Guilty conduit, with your Warrior of Light PvP talent, and get some meaty Shield of Righteouses. But if you don't have access to this or you don't want to farm it, Zephus is just fine, Uther's is just fine, and Mad Paragon is likely what I'm going to be playing at the moment, just because I'm waiting on that final verdict for my Ret. All right, that's about it for the Prot legendary powers. Let's get into the rotation. So just like Ret, Prot's rotation is more of a priority system, and that priority is obviously not overcapping your holy power while keeping your generators on cooldown. And you want to have your judgment on cooldown pretty much all the time. You can take advantage of the judgment buff, but it's more important to be able to be holding on to a little bit of holy power in PvP, so you can Word of Glory your teammate, Word of Glory yourself, make sure you're safe after you get stunned. So say a rogue kidneys you and you take like 90% of your health and damage, you want to have a little bit of holy power for emergency use after that. But if you're going to end up doing big damage, what you want to do is you want to get 5 holy power. You want to press Seraphim Wings Judgment, Shield of the Righteous, Judgment, Shield of the Righteous, Hammer of Wrath, Avenger Shield, Judgment, Shield of the Righteous, and then continue on with the priority system of just getting Holy Power, not overcapping, and doing big damn. And it is okay if, say, you're sitting at 4 Holy Power, you have a Judgment coming off cooldown, just Word of Glory yourself, get a Shield of the Righteous, something like that. Stack up your Shining Light, even if no one's in range, and try and keep this buff active. Try not to let it expire. It does have a long window in between. I believe it's 30 seconds on your next free Word of Glory, something around that. But yeah, try not to let that buff fall, and you should be good to go. All right, we'll briefly go over stat priority now. The stat priority for Prot is thankfully very similar to Ret. It's something like Verse over Mastery, over Haste, over Crit. And the reason for that is Mastery and Versatility provide you the most damage and damage reduction. Mastery gives you attack power, which is really solid as Prot. It increases your chance to block, and if you're Holy Shield, it's going to increase that spell absorb as well with your attack power and your block chance. And in addition to that, you can Consecration and just stand in your Consecration and take reduced damage. But I'd still say Versatility is probably a little bit better than Mastery, just because it's going to increase your damage, healing, and damage reduction, and you're going to benefit from the 2-piece set bonus from the PvP trinkets. And lastly, in the guide, I'll be going over my macros. So my macros are, they're all over the place right now. If you want, you can go into the description of the video. I will copy paste all my macros there, and you can use them yourself. Just make sure if my name is in the macro, you change that name to your name or teammate's name. This macro right here is my changing talent macro. Just lets me put, for instance, Seraphim right down on my bars. And if I press Holy Avenger, boom, talent auto changes to Holy Avenger, and then press Seraphim, changes back on my bars. Next, I have 3 bop macros right here. I have my mouseover bop, I have my healer bop, and I have my DPS bop. Then I have my burst macro, which just presses wings, and my gladiator's badge right here of ferocity. I have my cancel, freedom, and cancel bop macro right here. I have a mouse over cleanse macro, and those are red. That's red. I have my mouse over freedom macro. I have my mouse over Word of Glory macro, and as you guys are seeing, there's a lot of mouse over macros. And then this is probably the most important, the mouse over Guardian of Forgotten Queen. It lets you queen your teammates nice and quick if you don't want to do a party 1, 2, 3 macro, something like that. Hammer of Justice, this is a shift modifier macro where if I have a focus target, let me set this guy to focus, and I press my stun, let's detarget him, press shift, it went on him right there. Let's see, it's on cooldown. And then let me bring macros back up. Same deal with the Rebuke shift modifier macro. I have a mouse over Hand of Sacrifice and more red macros right there. But yeah, more or less, copy and paste the macros in the description. Feel free to use them or not. They are up to you if you want to do that for your playstyle. In terms of add-ons, I have big debuffs and fly plate buffs. I will also leave my add-ons in the description. That just shows the judgment right there. And let's see, let's walk over to this guy. Let's blind this guy right here. If I can. Even swap targets. There we go. Blind. See, the blind is both above and to the right. To the right is big debuffs, and above is fly plate buffs. And I also run Gladius. Let's see, what other add-ons do I run here? Omni Bar to track enemy kicks, and Omni CD to see friendly cooldowns, and then Details as my my damage tracker. And Classic Numbers is my mixed scrolling battle text replacement. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If there are any further questions, feel free to leave them below. I guess I can go over one more thing. In terms of comps for Prot, in 2v2 I recommend Prot Arms or Prot Windwalker. In 3s I recommend Prot Ret Arms or Prot Ret Windwalker. Those comps are absolutely insane right now, but we might see some Prot spellcaster cleaves, such as Prot Affliction. Prot's going to let the lock live and do a ton of damage. Stuff like that might be coming in the future, but we'll see if Prot gets nerfed or not. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed. See you next video. Be sure to follow Twitch, twitch.tv/PvP. It would be appreciated. Alright, peace.